but I do love the DC, Maryland's as far as the people and the hospitality. And I'm gonna also have to say the activities as well. But the
Yeah,
weather, if I could take the weather and the people from DC to Maryland, like if they forge that together, I will be so at home and I will move
okay.
instantly.
Yeah, I love the DMV. I mean, that's when I became a woman. When I grew up, was in DC. I was 17 years old when I moved to DC, and I went to Howard undergrad. And that's when, I mean, like, I still feel like I'm still living my 17, 18-year-old life. But that's when I look back, those were the best 6 years of my life, living and working in DC. I love that area.
I'm like at a phase where I'm just like, man, do I go back to the DC area when I want to like raise my family, or because it's a comfort area, like I feel comfortable as like a single woman being there, but I'm not really sure if that's, or do I want to go back to Florida? I kind of just grapple with that idea, but I don't want to be so sold on it because I don't have a solid partner where I know like this is going to be my husband and stuff needs to be
Yeah.
talked about. But I'm just like, yeah, those are like my two spots where I just feel my happiest. There's just so many things that I really like about the DC, Maryland area. It's diverse just as much as the New York, New Jersey area. The amount of wealthy people that look like me and other cultures in the Maryland area. It's just so many things that I could just like the museums. There's just so many things that I'm interested in versus like other areas. So
Such an inspiring environment. I mean, even beyond the politics and
mhm.
of course the museums, and there's just so much activity there. There's so many things that you can get into, and your children or your family can be involved in. Like, it's a city that you can never get bored. Like, if you live in DC, or even like New York, New Jersey, that whole kind of East Coast flavor, and you're like, there's nothing to do. And that's not about that
Crazy.
place, it's about you, because there's
Right.
always something to do. There's always
Yes.
something going on. And I mean, for me, my fascination and my love for DC is based on the mid 80s to early 90s.
Mhm.
So I was there during a time that was very different from how DC looks now.
Mhm.
DC, when I was there, was called Chocolate City. DC was also known as the murder capital of the nation,
Oh, I
unfortunately.
seen that side.
Sorry about that. It's true. The Georgia Avenue that I grew up on and walked up and down the streets back in 87 is different from the Florida Avenue or the Georgia Avenue that exists right now. I mean, it's different. I mean, there's been a lot of gentrification.
Mhm.
There has been a lot of growth in DC, which I'd love to see. And yet, the level of diversity when it comes to African Americans who, predominantly made up DC, it's no longer like that. Is that a bad thing, a good thing? It just is what it is. But my fascination with DC is still based on what I knew it to be back in the day. And so when I go to visit from time to time, it is different, but it still gives me that energy and the love and the access to the amenities that I love of cities, especially like DC. So yeah, DC is, I mean, of course, when you got the cherry blossoms and the spring, like, it's just
Yes.
beautiful. Rock Creek Park, beautiful. Like, it's just a beautiful city. So yeah, my
Mumbo
fascination
sauce.
with that, yeah, right. Mumbo, so I mean,
How
all
you
that.
gonna forget that?
Florida Avenue Grill, going to oh my God, back in the day it was Booz Alley and Georgetown. I mean, I don't even think that's there anymore. But yeah, for me it was just so much love, and black love and chocolate love and all of that back when I was there. And so when I go there, I still see it through that prism. And I
Mhm.
and I always will, because that's when I began to become a young adult, and I was going into my adulthood and really learning what being black in America looked like and felt
Right.
like, because I was coming from Indiana, which doesn't have a lot of diversity necessarily, and I went to a predominantly non-minority school.
Mhm.
So my connection to the African American, to the Black world was very limited. And when I got to DC, it was like my eyes just were like, oh, like I felt like I just made it, like it was heaven. I was in heaven. And so, DC is responsible for raising me. DC is responsible for giving me a sense of confidence I never I never had as a young person. When I got to DC, it just really gave me those experiences and those moments in life that I have always cherished. And I look to as the moment when I'm like, okay, the light bulb went off. That moment when I started really understanding what being Black in America was like. That moment when I understood what it meant to, what Black power was. I just have such great fond memories of DC, and it always has this very special place in my heart, including HU, the real HU, Howard University, will always have a very special place in my heart.
It is so funny to hear HU, for those of you who do not know, Howard University, but there's also another HU, or I'm gonna say a more another big HBCU, which is Hampton University, which is in Virginia. So they kind of have a tit for tat of, who is the real HBCU. I'm not in that argument because I didn't go to neither one of those schools, but it's just funny just to hear you guys. We the real HBCUs, and I'll be like, girl, let me stay out of this.